All right, what's up, everybody? Hopefully, everyone is doing well. Today, I'm going to break down and really get the pinpoints of this really cool article that we found, or that I found on Adweek, and it basically talks about the future of social commerce. So, there's these two guys. I think it was an interview, as shown in this picture, and this blog is kind of summarizing what this interview was between Shomer and Zox. Uh, yeah, so the title of the actual article is the following: The future's here. Meta's Benji Shomar, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, or Shomer, Zox's Jason Kupers talk social commerce, right? So let's get right into it. So, one of the premises is that there are increasing ways or important ways for people to discover new products. And physical retail is shifting and changing. So even before the pandemic even hit, people weren't even going to the malls as often. People are saying malls are dying, and that's actually true. More people are shopping online, but I don't completely agree that physical retail is dying. It is shifting and changing. Those are the right terms, in my opinion, because the big brands are using physical retail as a brand experience, especially in metropolitan areas, right? So one of the guys in the interview noted that more and more people are learning about new products through friends, through online communities, and increasingly from creators, influencers, and celebrities, right? So, and I think that's been going on for such a long time. Whenever we see our favorite celebrities wear a shoe, wear a piece of jewelry, clothing, we tend to want to buy that type of stuff, right? Now with social commerce, or now with social media at scale, with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, we're seeing these things in a lot more frequently, right? And that's why these things are really trying to scale, or are scaling in terms of e-commerce, right? So whenever we see the big boys and girls wearing our favorite sort of brands, we tend to want to buy that stuff too, right? And this is at scale, right? So one of the things that they talk about is Meta, right? Meta's former known as Facebook, and he was talking about how important groups were. So he was saying that groups were initially created for people to kind of communicate with each other, have niche communities, and whatnot, right? But what he discovered was that people were actually creating groups around commerce and brands. So he said the following, that he saw communities coming together around brands and buying and selling to each other, despite the fact that the feature of Facebook groups wasn't designed for that and doesn't really do a great job for that, right? So they created this product, Facebook groups. They made it for a reason, to people to create communities and whatnot. But what ended up happening was people create these groups to buy and sell and talk about consumer trends, right? And from that, we are seeing that these people are taking advantage of this and really diving deep and engaging with the community, revolving around their brand or niche or something that complements that, right? So, for example, I don't know, say you are a soap brand, and there's a Facebook group on the best soaps for your back, or the best soaps that don't give you dry skin afterwards, right? If you're a brand that sells soaps that do that, or just a brand of soap, then you can join in these communities, provide value, and when you provide value, you get a lot more engagement. You're talking directly with your customers. You can even get feedback from them, and that's what people are doing. That's what entrepreneurs are doing with these Facebook groups. So you don't always have to rely on, from my understanding, paid advertisements, even though that is the best way to scale. But if you want to go the more organic route, really hone down on the community, engaging with these Facebook groups, or it doesn't have to be Facebook. I think it can also be Reddit. It can also be like other forums. But Facebook groups is a massive community, a massive place to communicate with your audience, and it gives you a good opportunity to just talk with people like on a one-to-one level, right? Whereas like on Instagram, in terms of the comment section or YouTube comment section, there isn't much engagement, right? Unless you literally talk to them face to face via Zoom call, phone call, or just a Facebook group, right? It's like a giant WhatsApp chat, right? So he was talking about that, or they're talking about how great Facebook groups is. So it's true. Like that prime example I just kind of came up with it at random, but this is something that you can definitely do to scale your business, to really create a community and let the community really spread the word out of your brand, in my opinion, right? So they go on about talking about Facebook groups, and they said the following: while we might be bringing in new customers through paid acquisition methods, ultimately the way that we are able to grow as a business is by meeting customers where they are and engaging them in those ways. If we get somebody into our engagement groups, community groups, there's a tremendous value increase there, right? A tremendous value increase. You want to provide value, not just sell your products. That's what makes a brand a brand. And the person who actually mentioned this kind of is Zox, right? Zox, they're a brand that sells wristbands adorned with positive messaging, right? So that's what the person who was talking about in regards to his brand and what he was doing on Facebook groups. Um, and it's great, right? And it's great. Um, he also said the following. So Zox was on Facebook groups from the get go, so from the very beginning. And Cooper said, "quote Well, we might be bringing in new customers through paid acquisition methods. Ultimately, again, I'm kind of reiterating here because the importance of it. The way we are able to grow as a business is by meeting customers where they are and engaging them in those ways, right? If we get someone into our engagement groups, community groups, there's a tremendous value increase there. I want to repeat that because I think a lot of people are still sucked in on the idea that you have to pay to play. And I want to say that's true, but that's not the only method to scale. I think the best way to scale, in my opinion, from what I hear about Gary Vee, what Cooper's saying with this brand, is that you have to talk with your community. You have to be actively engaging with them. If not, then you're kind of at a arm's length, you know. So the closer you are to your community, the least resistance you have or they have will really connecting with you. And as a matter of fact, they'll just end up buying you, trusting you more, and um, you'll be a part of their lives, right? Hopefully for the long term. As we go along this article, they emphasize on the importance of the shopping features on Instagram. For example, Instagram Live, right? So, quote, it's been so beneficial for more than anything else because it allows us to have the closest thing you could possibly have to a one-on-one conversation with anybody or with somebody visiting your store. Cooper said, people are visiting your sites or your site hundreds of thousands of times a day, and you don't have a chance to interact with them, and that's so true. And the reason why I say that's so true is because I like going on brands like their websites, and I like going on similar web to see how much monthly visitors they get. Sometimes I see sites with with hundreds of thousands of visitors, sometimes even millions. And there's no way, there's nothing on the site where you can directly communicate with someone. There's no live stream. There's no face-to-face chat. There's nothing like that. So you have a stream of people visiting your website, but there's no way to communicate with them directly. And this is something that Instagram Live can possibly do because if you can drive traffic to your Instagram page, um, or just in general, like this, if you have traffic in some sort of domain, having a way to communicate with them on a one-on-one level can be very beneficial. Again, engaging in your community is massive. Is massive. So he goes on saying, or from the article, he also favors using live shopping for product drops and exclusive pieces, saying people get so excited trying to check out fast. They're not just buying the products you're making; they're buying the experience you're creating for them. That's something that kind of confuses me. I'm not gonna lie in terms of the experience. As a matter of fact, maybe it's the following. So when you buy a product online, you go to the e-commerce store, you buy a product, you see or before you buy the product, you see the product images, the copywriting, all that type of fun stuff, and it's kind of the same experience, I guess. Because you can only have so many static images and videos. But what if you spice it up with a live stream shopping experience where you have maybe your favorite influencer in front of the camera, you know, describing the product, holding it, reviewing it, commenting it, making a joke here and there, making the experience a lot more social, a lot more interactive, maybe even commenting on one of your questions. And this is where e-commerce is definitely going, especially through the development of the metaverse, as Facebook is rebranding or has rebranded it as the Meta, right, or as Meta. So the key takeaways, hopefully I explained it as best as possible, or I went through this article as best as possible. If I confuse you, my bad. But point is, two things. Number one, Facebook groups can be a really good way to engage in your community on a really closer level at scale, right? And the second thing is Instagram Live. It's the closest thing on a one-on-one level to communicate directly with your audience and with your community, right? Um, so definitely, if you're a new brand or already a bigger brand, I think these are great ways to really hone in on a community because that's something that is not repeatable. Any brand can have thousands of monthly visitors and kind of sell the same products and whatnot, but you can't replicate a community. And I think that's why it's so important. And the stronger your community is, the more backing you'll have, the more customer retention, and so on and so forth. So, if there's two things that you really want to understand from my semi um, thorough, I guess, read through of the article, then definitely take those two notes down. Number one, Facebook groups is a great way to engage with a community, and Instagram Live is the best way to engage on a one-on-one level, right? So I'll link this article in the show notes. Take a read at it, use it, apply it, and yeah, let us know on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, maybe even on YouTube how that goes for you. All right. So with that being said, good luck, take notes, and have a good one.